So football's a physical game. We know this. And we've seen some injuries to key players in recent weeks. Big name guys like Kiefer Sibley of Connally and Cade Bynnom of University. You don't want to ever lose your offensive bell cow. And of course, we never want to see anybody get hurt. We're not wishing injuries on anyone, but I am curious, who do you think is the most indispensable player in Central Texas? Which might be a little bit different than being the best player in Central Texas. Who matters the most to their team, and that team could not afford to lose them? What do you think?
I'll let DJ go first on this one.
This is a hard question because there's a lot of guys that, they play really well. And I'm going to say that when Zane Harper leaves West, they're going to have a tough time finding a kid to fill in that role, because not only is he just defensively one of the best players I've ever seen, on offense, he's really picked it up. I mean, he's been in there as a running back. He's also, caught some receptions, and leadership wise, I mean, anytime I talk to anybody at West about Zane Harper, he's a kid that he's going to go out there and he's going to do the work, and he's going to make sure his teammates are doing the work. And so I think when, he's a senior after this season, it's going to be pretty tough to try to find somebody to fill that role when he leaves. And it's not just, the quality of play, it's also just the intangibles. So I can't really think of anybody other than maybe Cash McCollum. I know it's going to be tough to see him go for China Spring. So
yeah, no,
that's a good answer. It's a really out of the box answer.
I agree. And you're talking about a super-centex defender who we probably haven't talked about enough in Zane Harper. I mean, he was a guy who had about half a jillion tackles last year. Chad, what do you think?
Well, I got to get on my soapbox here for a minute. Well, I like this question, most indispensable player. It feels synonymous to most valuable player.
Agreed.
Which I think most valuable player really should be most valuable player and not just best player. Because when you look in the American League, Shohei Ohtani, I think, is hands down, the choice to be most valuable player in the American League, right?
Right.
The Angels were 73 and 89, and he played only 135 games. Now, I know he's awesome. He's awesome, but how is he the most valuable player, right?
Yeah. So just think about how bad they would be without him.
They will be without him, because
right. Ooh, ouch. Yeah. If he ends up on the Rangers, I'm quitting everything.
Well, it reminds me of out here. He's gonna stay out west.
Okay.
I heard a story. An old friend of an old friend, like a friend of my grandfather or something, played pro baseball, and back before free agency and whatever. And he went into the manager's office, or the GM's office, said, "Look, I did such and such and such and such, and I feel like I deserve a raise this year." And the GM said, "Well, Tommy, where did we finish last year? And he said, "Well, we finished last." He said, "I think we can finish last without you."
Ouch.
Yeah.
So what is your answer for this question?
Micah Hudson, I think. I think if Micah Hudson is not there for Lake Belton, they're probably still a good team, but they're not a team that you have to think twice about when they're playing. Who they got this week? Denton Ryan, right? Yeah. You don't have to think about that one twice if it's Lake Belton without Denton Ryan. You pick Denton Ryan, right? And I went with Lake Belton. Even though they're going to Denton, I just feel like kind of they have that excitement surge. I mean, they've only been in school for a little while, so the playoffs are still a huge deal to them. And they're going to take that bandwagon up to Denton and try to beat the mighty Ryan Raiders, who, they're not necessarily the Ryan Raiders of a couple of years ago or decades past, but they're still really good. So that is a toss-up game. And if Micah Hudson weren't in the lineup, I don't think it would be a toss-up game.
Yeah, I like that answer. I think that's a good one. It took a while for you to get there, but yeah.
but it's entertaining. You know, that's what I bring to this podcast is entertainment.
Right. That's exactly right. And that's obviously what Micah Hudson brings to the field, and why ESPN decided to show one of their Thursday night football games. Without that, certainly Lake Belton doesn't get that national TV stage that they did. So I agree with you. I think he's obviously a huge part of everything they do, including special teams. I mean, he does some returning for them. I'm struggling with the answer to my own question, because like DJ said, I mean, obviously you could just go, well, you know, China Spring wouldn't be as good without Cash McCollum.
Right.
Here's what I'll say about Braylon Henry and Lorena. I feel like, and we've talked about it on the pod here, he had a decent rushing game the very first week against China Spring. Then he had two sort of, you know, down games where he didn't do as much. And then he just blew up. And I feel like Lorena blew up with him. I feel like they've like hitched their wagon to Braylon Henry and gone, take us home, man, take us home. And he's doing it, you know? And so I feel like he's really important to what they do. Having a great year, almost 2,000 yards now rushing. So it's been cool to see for sure.
Yeah,
so
he passed up Kiefer Sibley, mainly because Sibley got hurt, but yeah, he passed up Kiefer in the rushing yards for Central Texas. So
yeah. And you know, I'll give it up for Connally last week, playing without Kiefer Sibley and Kobe Black and those guys. Obviously they're playing Robinson, but Robinson gave him a tussle. And I just thought one guy who really stepped up his game was Jalen Nobles. Did a lot of different things, carried the ball some, caught some big passes. All of those guys pretty much go both ways. He was playing on defense as well. So, when guys are out, you do need guys to step up, and Connally got that last week.